Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is. Welcome back. I know that I haven't been here for the last couple of days. Can you make it so that I'm not like a big head in the middle of the screen by any chance? Just make it a little bigger. Can we do that? I literally feel like I'm in the middle of the screen. Anything to make me look like I'm not just a big head, big bobblehead. So we have a guest today, Mark Cook. We've got a lot to talk about today. And one of the biggest things that we're going to talk about is what is happening with election fraud. What's happening inside of the state related to Eric Coomer, Dominion Voting Systems, what they're doing in Georgia. Well, they just announced they're going to have a meeting with all the Secretary of States in all 50 states with Tulsi Gabbard. They're going to uncover the evidence related to the election fraud in 2020 and the fact that this election fraud has been going on down ballot for decades. And you say, Joe, how do you know that? Well, vindication is a great thing. It's a great thing. And so I'm not going to waste a lot of time. I'm going to let Mark stay here with me with all of it. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about how they're weaponizing children and using them as their EBITs to go and create these false narratives in the public. They're actually going into public schools and they're using kids and saying, look, as teachers, the unions are getting with the teachers, the teachers unions are having the teachers talk to the students about doing mass walkouts, not just in one city, not just in one state, but all over the country. Kids are like, yeah, I'll protest. Why not? I can get out of school. The reality of it is, though, those kids have no idea what they're protesting. And instead of it being a thing where every student is doing it, they are bullied, intimidated, gone after, and use their power as teachers to push and groom these children into doing exactly what they said or else. And you're seeing it happen all over the state. So with that said, Mark, welcome to the show. You're muted, Mark. Can we get Mark unmuted?
I am not muted anymore. There we go.
You're back.
Unmuted. And I'm a big head on the screen. That's all right.
Yeah, you're a little bigger.
That's right. Brain size.
Mark, the last couple of days have been really, really, really shocking. Now, I was told almost 3 weeks ago, Joe, don't worry about it. People are going to jail. There are a lot of things that are changing right now. You don't have to worry about anything. You're going to be vindicated. Mark, do you think I was vindicated?
We're getting there. Absolutely. Yep. I think, well, some stuff, we can't say, but I can't wait till I can say it. What I can say, other than that stuff, is that I've uncovered personally a whole bunch of lying going on with our electronic voting system industry. And one of those companies being Sequoia, which Eric Coomer used to work for before Sequoia became Dominion.
He didn't just work for it. He was the chief architect of Sequoia voting systems.
He was pretty important there at Sequoia. Yeah, he was the guy. In fact, I also found out he was the guy, top tier. When there was a problem, he was the one that everything flowed to at Sequoia. And he was the guy that someone could pick up the phone and say, hey, I got a problem with a tabulator out in the field at some county. And a few seconds later, magically, the tabulator's working again. No problem. And somehow Eric was able to get all the way through to that tabulator by some means. Of course, now we find as we're looking through these documents that in Sequoia's days, these systems were fully interconnected. They had remote access servers. They had wireless modems in them, fully interconnected voting systems. And I don't think the American public really realized that until a little bit later. And by then, the damage was already done. Then people started getting concerned about it with the vulnerabilities, et cetera. They started disconnecting, turning off those features, but the software still had the core functionality in it. They just turned it off. They just didn't use it. And so it was still there, sitting there, in case anyone decided to use it. And by that time, anyone could have used it and no one would have even known. That was the problem. They left the functionality in the software because that's how the software was designed in the first place. The entire thing was designed in order to have every device interconnected at all times during the election, just like Smartmatic's system in Venezuela. That's how their system's all set up. It's one fully interconnected system all the way down to the tabulators. And they wanted that for this country as well. Luckily, we stood up and made a fuss, but these vendors kept it all in there. And that's not just Sequoia. Dominion's got it all built in. And I've examined some other of the electronic voting system industry systems, and they've got similar functionality built into their systems. They are all network capable, hardware and the software.
Now, Mark, I wrote a Substack and published it. And I had phone calls and people said, Joe, don't say anything more. We need you to stop talking. And in that Substack, I examined Eric Coomer's doctorate thesis in full for the math in that because now we know from the deposition even more about the timelines that I knew already before. And those timelines of when did Eric Coomer go to work for Sequoia Voting Systems? When did it get bought by Smartmatic and have 17 states in the District of Columbia? We knew more about his charges that were pending in California and the severity of those charges. Now we know even more about when he decided he was clean from doing substances like heroin. We know kind of the timeline, and so he was not going to be someone that any company would recruit. A drug addict facing multiple years in prison, and he comes on and works for. And by the way, he was just doing websites for a business. Like that's all he was doing. And now he was brought in as a chief architect for 17 states and the District of Columbia. And almost immediately, less than a year later, CFIUS was investigating Sequoia Voting Systems for some really bad behavior. So there's a mountain of evidence that surrounds this guy, Eric Coomer. And I still go back to the part where I think it was Providence that Eric Coomer felt like he should get on a call. He should say, hey, don't worry about it when asked about the election. What are we going to do when we lose to this guy, President Trump? And hey, don't worry about it. Trump's not going to win. I made effing sure of it. That guy in the last 5 years, and Mark, I have dug really, really deep. So it would have been different had it been a different guy. Had I not been a system architect, had I not understood the systems related to how you build systems, if I didn't have two tech companies, I'd be a different guy. Because at that point, it would be Eric Coomer just having a conversation and, oh, are you sure it's him? And people tried to convince me that it wasn't Eric Coomer, right? They're like, Joe, you really should say that I'm not sure. From the beginning, people were telling me this. These are lawyers saying, give yourself some room. Okay, but I didn't need room, right? So I look at this and I go, okay, his words were one thing, but then being able to dig in and find and say, look, without a doubt, here's how they're going to steal the election, dig even deeper into it, understanding what Dominion is capable of doing. You have done this. Jeff Lindbergh has done this. We have Ben Cotton that has done this. We have the ASA group that's done this. I could just keep going down the line. You have Jim Penrose, again, another system. He's not just a system expert. He is a cyber expert and understands different intricacies. All of these people have reiterated the same thing. Jeff Lindbergh worked for Sandia Labs. You were an IT expert, been doing this for over 30 years. There's just a ton of people that have institutional knowledge, and that knowledge led to these systems. For 5 years, we had to say it. These systems were designed.
Yeah, 40 years actually. And the systems, all the pieces. Oh, please. I'm almost as old as your ancient ass. Come on.
Well, 40 years then I'm not that old. So 40 years I would be in grade school.
I've been in business for 40 years.
Well, then you're older than I am.
I may be older than you. It's very possible, you little kid. I don't even know how old you are. But all right. So the systems, when you have all the experts that have the institutional knowledge, that have the experience, they're all looking at this system going, we got a problem here. We have a massive problem here. This thing is set up that would allow all this. And then we've got all these citizens out there investigating things and doing audits, and they're finding the symptoms in the data that would substantiate that these systems were being abused in that manner. I mean, how much more do we need? The systems are capable, they're vulnerable. The data proves that there's something funny going on inside the systems, and all the experts are saying we got a problem. I mean, are we really so dumb that we're going to say, oh, we don't know there's a problem or not? We have a problem. There's absolutely no question we have a problem. And Eric Coomer, he's not a stupid guy. He's a very brilliant individual, a very high IQ individual. They didn't hire just anyone off the street to work at Sequoia all these years. They didn't keep him on when they went to Dominion all these years for no reason. He wasn't the top level tech that everyone went to, that almost every email he was CC'd on, or he was the final say in all this stuff for no reason. He was the guy. He had the brains. He had the ability. He also has the background knowledge in order to develop a system that would make election results look very reasonable and organic and real when they could be subtly manipulated on the back end. He has unique knowledge that most people don't have to be able to do that. Yeah.
Mark, he's also a sociopath.
Well, there's that. There is that. Yeah.
To a degree where he feels like he is so much smarter than everybody else. I mean, he feels like
in his defense, he is a lot smarter than most people. He absolutely is.
He's so smart that he doesn't believe that he thinks he can outsmart the world. And then when he got caught, it was like, well, what do I do now? What do I do now?
I think he is such a smart guy, and he's so used to being the smartest in the room that he didn't really realize that there are other smart people out there, and those other smart people might recognize what he's doing. And so he got away with it for so long. He got away with it not just for months. He did not for years. He's got away with this for decades. He's been running in circles around, and he's had all kinds of cover to protect him. Well, but that cover now is getting exposed.
He's had 4 DUIs. 4. Do you know how many have gone to court?
I'm guessing 0.
0. Do you know how many show up on his record?
Probably 0.
0. And that, by the way, includes one where he ran into a building. I can't tell you what happened in his deposition. I can tell you this. Mark, how much information do we have related to Eric Coomer's involvement and how the systems operate?
A lot. Just about all of it.
And you have people that have come forward. And here's I'm gonna publicly say this on this show, okay? I'm gonna publicly say this. This is my publicly deal. And by the way, as much as I know now I can unequivocally say this.
Okay.
Eric Coomer's not the only one that is complicit in all this. His attorneys are complicit in this as well. We learned that his attorneys have a joint defense agreement with a company called Dominion Voting Systems. That means they are communicating with Dominion Voting Systems. Do you know what else that means?
Go ahead.
That means that they know that their client is guilty, and they continue to come after me. And therefore, as I start looking and drafting all these lawsuits against things like New York Times and the Washington Post and 9 News and Kyle Clark and Matt Crane and all the people that disparaged me nonstop for the last 5 years, I'm going for the bar card, and I'm going for everything these lawyers have. I'm taking everything from them. Everything. I will not stop until I see both of them holding a little can on the side of the street saying, drop me a few coins. And some could say, Joe, you're asking too much. Then you don't know what we did for the last 5 years. You don't know the sacrifice for the last 5 years.
Everyone that did any part of this needs to be held fully accountable. Absolutely. This is absolutely disgusting. They've deceived so many people. Hundreds of millions of people have been deceived because of this. People have lost their jobs, they've lost relationships, they've lost their life over stolen elections. We have absolutely no choice as a country to hold every single person fully accountable for every single part they played in this, or we'll never stop them from doing it again. They'll just learn what they did wrong and they'll do it better next time. We've got to crush them absolutely, without question. Including if the attorneys knew, absolutely, they got to go too. I just want the truth.
I will tell you this. I have had multiple conversations and I watched the deposition and I could see what the attorney was doing, what Charlie King was doing when Eric Coomer was answering. And it's a, oh no. And here's another thing. When I walked outside, there were people watching the building the entire deposition. In entirety. Just imagine that. And I'm not going to say anything more about it, but there were people watching it. And frankly, it's going to get very interesting what happens from this point on. I want to share some stuff with you if I can. I put up a couple of posts, right? And I'll start with the first one and get your thoughts on it. Here's a quote from Emerald Robinson. Now, these are things that we know. And I'm not going to tell you how we know these things, but I said Coomer is going to jail. His lawyers will probably follow for propping up the charade. And Laura Logan sent this as well. This is huge. Breaking: federal investigators have found massive alterations to Dominion voting machines that were secretly inserted after the certification process was complete. On average, about 500 illegal DLL files have been found on these confiscated machines. That means certification was invalid. Can you tell everyone what a DLL file is? I mean, they're on pretty much everything. What are they?
Absolutely. So DLL stands for Dynamic Link Library. And all that means is very simple. When you have a program, and let's say you have a program that does a certain thing as part of what it does, and you have different parts of that program that all want to do that same thing. You'd have to take that same thing, that same block of code, and duplicate it all these times, normally in the old days. Then there's this thing called the dynamic link library that showed up, where you can take that block of code that's used multiple times in elsewhere, and you can put it in what's called a dynamic link library. And it sits there, one copy of it, and then the programs over here can all link to that. They can reference that and run that code from that one place. So you don't have to have 10 copies of the same thing. You just have one copy of it. And the programs dynamically link to that file. That's why they call it a dynamic link library. It's a library that's dynamically linked into the program. And so that's a normal thing that operating systems have. Lots of software uses them. Sometimes one company will write the DLL and a different company will be able to take advantage of the libraries in their software. So when you have a certified system, let's move to the Dominion of electronic voting systems. They create the software. Then they take what's called a hash on a bunch of the files, and that hash is like a digital fingerprint of each file. So if anything in the file changes, you would know that because the hash would change, the fingerprint would change. So they gives them the ability to check a fingerprint against the reference fingerprint. And what happens is if that file does get swapped out or changed, even by one bit, a single zero moves to a one or a single one moves to a zero, that's all it takes. Then it invalidates the hash. It won't match anymore. And so what they have found in these hard drives, and so people know where they are, these hard drives didn't come from Fulton County during this raid. These hard drives that they're referencing, these 5 hard drives that have all these DLLs that are different, are hard drives that were, we'll say, images that were obtained from 2020 election systems back in the 2020 election. And what they're claiming, and I have not seen the evidence of this myself, so I cannot personally confirm it. I would love to be able to see it to confirm it. But what they're claiming is they looked at the certified hash DLLs. And when they checked the new DLLs on this image, they realized that the DLLs had changed because that hash fingerprint no longer matches what they should have been. So something changed in them, 500 to 1,000 of them are different. And it only takes a single number, a 1 change to a 0 or a 0 change to a 1 to fundamentally change the way software works.
Well,
I mean, literally, you could have an algorithm that's off normally, and you change one number, and that algorithm turns on and changes the way the whole thing works. So it only takes one change. So when they say there's 500 to 1,000 files that are changed, clearly there's more than 1 or 1 0 that's changed within each of those files. So we could talking about this might be millions of changes on that hard drive that the whole all bets are off at that point. I mean, the certification is done.
So I'm gonna put a little bit more context on it for everyone. We used to talk about rootkits a lot because you could use them in websites to change the outcome systematically for what the user journey was on a website or an e-commerce. You could really ruin somebody's company by using some of these dynamic files, right? Or code that basically self-denigrates, right?
You could swap one out. Right. So basically, if you had a program that relied on a DLL file and you wanted to get into a system, you could take another DLL file that has a little bit of extra stuff in it, like a rootkit or some malware, swap the original one with it. So it would still look like it does the same thing, but it could do a little bit extra. And that's the potential here.
Well, and so tell everyone the importance of this, because you could have a system that's running with DLL files, and you could change the library without ever affecting the system itself.
Yeah, it would operate normally. The clerk would operate. It would look, everything would look totally normal. But this one swapped library could actually open up another port, like in the firewall, or allow communication, or flip certain number of votes, or go into the database in the middle of the night and just start flipping votes. Algorithmically, anything could happen.
This is important. And I got access to something where I got to look into it, and I was like, okay, well, let me from a system standpoint show you what would have to happen. You could turn on a port. You could also use a library to do what?
Anything.
Turn it off.
Turn one off. Of course, turn off a port, turn on a port. You could swap data around. You could you could use it to wipe the log file out. So we have these log files on these systems that are supposed to keep track of the activity in the voting system. If you swap the DLL out, you could easily squeeze another procedure in there that just cleaned those entries out that would basically cover your tracks. All doable, anything doable.
As in the background, if you could do me a favor and find me my model that I took to Washington in December of 2020. Mark, I said this before. You and I got on this show. We talked about putting in a drive. And I said, Mark, you don't even need the drive. That's one way to do it. You plug in a drive, looks like a thumb drive, because some of the systems will run on thumb drives. If you change over 500 DLL files, right? If you change 500, let's say you changed 100.
You change one. Change one. That's all it takes.
So that's what you could fundamentally.
Uh-oh.
What?
There we go.
You could.
I lost the connection for a second, but yeah, it just takes one file.
You could fundamentally change the entire way the system operates. And if you had something like an ADA compliance, where the system is designed to manufacture a ballot out of thin air. Remember, let's go back to what happened in Georgia, where we showed that the circles were filled out the same way in multiple batches. It's important that we put all of this together and start looking at collectively how the system was used in this environment. Forensically speaking, and this is what I spent most of my time kind of making sure that I could draw out. If I put little parts together and I'm drawing out those parts, I wanted to look at what part of this system was manipulated and what did they use to manipulate it. So the adjudication process is super important. So as you look at this model, Mark, put us next to it, by the way. Hey, look at this model. The tabulation, and you have the good, and you have the different numbers which show you how you can manipulate things. And I want to point out something I think is vitally important. You see this down here? I think it says number 2 or 3, the envelopes. See the envelopes? Down here at the bottom? Yep. The envelopes themselves we've never gotten access to the envelopes. So we have all these massive numbers of mail-in ballots that basically inside the tabulation machine, there is a function where you can suspend ballots. You can put ballots through, you could suspend those ballots. You could even suspend those ballots in time. And then if the system went down and come back up, you could then assign voters to them once you know who already voted. You'd also know who didn't vote. And you could have this internet connection. I actually don't believe you need an internet connection, but you can have an internet connection. That internet connection on the side, after it goes up and the system comes down, they know who voted, they know who didn't vote, they can take the that didn't vote, and they can attach those to actual ballots that were manufactured. There were phantom ballots, there were fraudulent ballots that just showed up. If you
Now, it's important for people to understand the Dominion voting system. They'll tell you that it doesn't have anything to do with individual voters. It just counts the ballots. But what people have to understand is when we're talking about like this diagram, this does not mean the Dominion voting system diagram. This is the election ecosystem, which is comprised of by the tabulation components, which would be like Dominion, the electronic poll books, and all these other components. They all work together to be able to, I guess, activate this type of manipulation. They all work in concert with each other, or they can work in concert with each other. And yes, absolutely, you could bring ballots into the system under these voters, and then once they're in the system, if you still have access to the system that kept track of which people voted, which would be the validation systems or the voted list, voter registration system, the signature verification system, et cetera, you could then just swap that voting credit from one voter to a different voter very easily. And if you look at what happened in Texas, where we caught them changing the entries in the electronic poll book system, they were actively inserting entries in the electronic poll books.
They were watching while you were watching.
During the election, when no one was even walking in the room. Then 2 weeks later, when I was in the election department in Dallas County, and I was touring that election department myself, and I saw all these systems up on the shelves. All the poll books were on shelves all the way through this building. I mean, it was as far as the eye could see poll books. And I've got pictures and videos of it as well. I'll have to show you. But I've got all those here, and I'm sitting there looking at them, and the numbers are still changing on the poll books. It's 2 weeks after the election. And the numbers of check-ins are changing. The number of registered voters are changing. It's all fluid 2 weeks after. And I asked the staff there, why are these numbers changing? And they looked at it and said, well, we're told by the vendor that they're synchronizing. I said, what do you mean synchronizing? Well, they said the bandwidth was too low during the election. So we're told by the vendor we have to leave them up on the shelf and plugged in and online on the internet so they can synchronize after the election. Okay, the election was over. The election results were already out. So what they were doing is they were moving voters around from precinct to precinct within their database on the cloud, and all the poll books, because they're connected to that cloud database, were just synchronizing the changes back down into the poll books. And they were doing that most likely to massage all the data so nothing looked like it stood out anywhere, blend it all really nicely before all the reports and the certification were done. And the people in the warehouse had no clue what the hell was going on. It's insanity.
Yeah, so this is where we start to look at. Now, this model was built in December of 2020. Did we have any audits at that time, Mark?
Nope.
Did we have any sort of machines? Did Mesa County, did Tina have that done yet?
Nope.
So we had
none of it.
We had nothing other than, I understood, here are the manuals, here are the RFPs, RFQs, here are the stacks that are there. I spent about 2.5 weeks on this, almost 3 weeks on this, me and another person named Andrew, super good guy. Is this still true?
Yeah. Yeah. And the funny thing is, when I was on the plane out to DC, when I was asked to go out there the week after the 2020 election, I was at the airport. I started downloading all the manuals as well. So I downloaded every possible manual I could from Dominion because I wanted to walk in with as much knowledge as I could. And I'm downloading them, sitting in the plane, getting ready to take off. I'm still downloading the last of them. And then on that plane ride, I did exactly the same thing. I opened up all the manuals. I diagrammed the whole system out. And shocking, I came to exactly the same type of diagram that you did. What do you know?
And we used
It's
this to
real.
predict the outcome of the Senate runoff race on January 5th. And it happened exactly the way we said it would happen. Now, I didn't get a chance to meet you or Draza or some of the other wonderful people that I've been able to meet through the last 5 years that are, I think, much smarter than I am. Like I'm really good at system architecture. You're really good at code. Andrew was really good at math. Draza is incredible at math. But collectively, we came together and said, okay, is this how the system works? And once we knew that, when I went to Washington, I was like, listen, they're going to steal this runoff election. Here's how they're going to do it. And it happened exactly that way. Fast forward 5 years.
What do you need? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So, what do you need in a criminal investigation? What are the three main components?
You have to have the means, which we've established with Eric Coomer, right?
Okay. Yep. Yeah. So, and this system, the diagram we're looking at right now is the means.
You have to have,
Next.
you have to have the character and or motives that would align with it, which we have that.
Motives, which check. Opportunity.
And then we would have to have the forensic ability inside the system for those things to actually occur. Then we have to have, it's always good if you have a confession, and Eric Coomer confessed on that call. Now, for those naysayers that say, well, you didn't record it, I wasn't looking for him. I was looking for journalists who were parading around as journalists who were actually Antifa members. I wasn't looking for him. I found
Let me
him.
ask you a question.
Yeah.
Is the fact that you don't have a recording, does that mean it didn't happen?
I was there.
Exactly.
The guy that ran
So
into
people that are using the excuse that because you don't have a recording, it means it didn't happen is absolutely absurd. And had you knew it was going to happen, you probably would have recorded it. And I've seen this one comment. Someone said, oh, he's a podcaster. He would have recorded it if it was going to be important. Give me a freaking break.
Mark,
how would anyone even know?
Mark, you've been to my office.
That was just a comment I saw. I don't remember.
Am I just a podcaster? You've been to my office.
Well, no, he was also wrong about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a podcaster that has run a tech company for 14 years. Do you know how many times tech companies who are not funded from the outside last 14 years? It's 0.2%. It's 0.2%. I've been in business 14 years. And not only have I, other than the 3 years that I was gone, I've done hundreds of millions of dollars in business. Not just 3 million or 5 million, hundreds of millions of dollars in business.
It's probably just a coincidence. You must have just got lucky.
Yeah. And I'm debt free and I've never taken a dollar of outside capital. And I've given away hundreds of thousands of dollars every year to help the poorest, most disadvantaged among us, from paying for education, giving scholarships, to actually going out there and helping single moms, the people that frankly are kicking me in the face and saying, oh, I want illegals to stay on the street. Those are the people that I spend a lot of time helping.
There's a lot of very confused people, and everyone was deceived, gaslit to hide and cover up the fact that our elections in this country, United States of America, have been manipulated, not since 2020, since far before then. It's been going on for decades and decades, right under all our noses. And that's what these people that have been manipulating elections are deathly afraid of the citizens figuring out. This is their nightmare right now. And any of us that have brought this out, that brought this truth out, exposed what they were doing, we are their nightmare because they lose total control. They used elections to do all the crap they've been doing, screwing all of us out of everything, enslaving. Every citizen of this country has been enslaved by these people, and their main mechanism of enslaving us is the election system that they spent decades building and sneaking in, and they are pissed that we figured it out and that we're holding them accountable. So those people that you think hate you and that do hate you right now, when they finally pull their head out of their ass and they realize what happened and they realize you actually took part in helping remove their slavery, I think they're going to I think they'll turn. I think they might even love you when they realize the work that you put into actually freeing them of the slavery that they didn't even know they were part of.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up. There was an article that was written on the Rocky Mountain Voice. You know what? I'll get to it later. But it was written in such a way that it says, like Joe or hate Joe. There is a group of Republicans that have spent the last 5 years slandering me with impunity to the same people that have supported me for 5 years. For 5 years, they've done it. And what I've started to do is catalog all of that so that I can independently sue every single one of those people. And Mark, you'd say, well, Joe, why are you suing them? Like me or hate me? What part of what I've done? Look, I'm a harsh guy. I'm not going to dilly dally or beat around the bush. But what part of the last 5 years has been dishonorable? What's been unhinged? What's been
People that don't understand what's happened have a hard time understanding how you react to it because they don't understand what it is. And I truly think, well, here's what I would do. I would give them an opportunity to have a discussion with you. Even if they've hated you and they slandered you forever, I'd say, listen, let's have a discussion. Now that we all know more about this, let's talk. I'll bet some of them would come around a little bit. I really do feel that. There are going to be people that will realize they're wrong, and if we make it impossible for them to admit that they were wrong, they're not going to admit that they were wrong. If we're going to embarrass them, if they're wrong, they're never going to admit that they're wrong. But if we can all agree that, hey, you know what, we were all screwed in this. We were all lied to. We were all deceived. Very dirty games were played against all of us. And what we can do is we can either still go to each other's throats, or we could find a way to unify against the common threat, which are those that deceived us to begin with. I would like to go that way. You know, you've heard about the analogy of the jar with red ants and black ants in it, right?
Yeah.
And if you have red ants and black ants in a jar, they'll just hang out. But if you shake that jar, they will attack each other. And I want to go after the people that shook the damn jar. I'm not so concerned, about the red ants or black ants. That's okay. Now, Kyle Clark, not so happy with. And that's why I, started my new network, 9.5 News, and my new show, Direct with Mark Cook on 9.5 News. And by the way, there's going to be more of that coming. But I even have a conversation with Kyle Clark because the guy can't be that big of an idiot. And if you can't have a conversation about this stuff, then you're just a liar. And I think he's probably a liar, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll invite him on 9.5 News sometimes, and we'll see if he wants to have a real discussion about the facts, not the spin, but just the facts, because they're all out there now.
Yeah, I actually believe that he is that much of an idiot. But then again, somebody Gatorbait just said that Mark is really good at honey over vinegar. and look, something happens to you when someone comes after your family. I'm just gonna tell you right now. It changes you. It makes you want to hurt people, right? When someone tries to go after your wife and your children, it makes you want to hurt people, which is why I think the whole thing with Victor Marks saying that I threatened or went after his family, the absurdity to it.
I didn't even hear that.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. The guy literally he says he's in this fight for Jesus, and he runs around the state having his campaign managers and people like that threaten people. And I'm going to read it on the show today. Threatened people with, you better not have Joe show up and speak. If you have him show up and speak, I'm never coming to your place. You're not going to have a debate if Joe Oltmann is there. I mean, these are people, this is all run by.
That's really bizarre.
What's more bizarre is a guy named Sean Towner, who's tied to a guy named Bill Owens, who is the king of. Bill Owens was the governor. He runs basically a cartel-like group behind the scenes and tries to basically decide who gets to get into office and what office. And he makes sure that the machine destroys everybody else. But here's the thing. Bill's a coward, like the rest of these little you-know-whats, right? And I run a tech company. So if he didn't think I was going to get to the bottom of it in all about 15 minutes, that's all it took. And now I got people that are singing like birds. I have one affidavit. I have 3 people that are willing to come forward. I have 1 recording of this, and I'm just waiting my time. I'm going to do the same thing I did before when I waited for things to hammer down on Eric Coomer. I'm going to wait, and then I'm going to drop it on the head of Victor Marks and his little boys. I don't play.
Victor, and I've asked Victor, because Victor made some statements about Tina Peters that kind of frustrated me, like statements that would look like statements made out of ignorance, extreme ignorance. And I've offered him multiple times
He didn't
to
take it.
come talk to me. It's just a private meeting. I just want to share the information that I have about what actually happened, so he doesn't go out making statements that aren't true. And I've asked him over and over again on X. I have not received a single contact. I'm not hard to get a hold of, Joe. I literally have my phone number on my website. I've got it in every presentation I give. Everyone freaking knows me, especially in Colorado. It would take all of 5 minutes for someone to get my number. Not a ring, nothing. And that frustrates me. So, Victor, if you're watching, or if someone's watching that knows Victor,
I promise you.
please have Victor call me.
I promise you they are. I promise you. I promise you that someone.
I'll make the offer.
And they don't seem to understand that. Look, I don't think about Victor. I don't think about Victor. When I get phone calls on the regular, and I have the like Parker conservative send me this email that wants to indict the character of Darcy, same type of thing. They want to create and they want to sully and muddy people's opinions of people. I'm out. Now, if you want to fight, I just spent the last 5 years fighting. I'm still in fight mode. Like I'm all about it. You want to see a warrior? Right? You want to see a dangerous gentleman? I'll give it to you. I'll show it to you. And then when you show up and you want to act like a bully, I'll throw you around like a rag doll. I'm not intimidated by people. And I think what he's doing is disingenuous at best, but I think it's actually dishonest. And he's using Jesus. He's standing Jesus up here and saying that he's a good man while he's basically lying underneath. And Mark, I'm just, what he said about Tina is what made me get in the race. He said, oh, commuter sentence. She's absolutely guilty after talking to Cody Davis. And you already know about the conversations with Cody Davis, don't you?
Know about him. I had a conversation with Cody Davis.
How'd that go?
Cody Davis told me he thought the sentence was far too harsh. Cody Davis, when I met him in his office, he had never seen the back doors in the voting system. He hadn't even really understood what the reports that came out of Mesa County were about. And I'm like, how do you not know this? You're a commissioner of Mesa County. You were the one that authorized buying the system. You were the ones that all these citizens spent 3 hours begging you not to buy the system because they didn't want it for their county, and you shot them all down and bought it anyway. You're the guy that testified against Tina Peters, and you haven't seen what she produced. So I sat there and showed it to him. He sat there and watched it, and his jaw hit the table. He said, never seen it before. I said, what do you think about what happened to Tina now? And he says, I think her sentence was too harsh. Well, Cody Davis, what have you done since that meeting? When I was in your office and you admitted, like it hit you, that, wow, her sentence was too harsh. What have you done? I've given you plenty of opportunity. Nothing.
And therein lies the problem, what you just said. Therein lies the problem. Is that you had that conversation with him, and after that, he wrote a letter to Victor Marks about making sure that he said that she was guilty. Guilty. How about that?
Well, that's a big mistake on his part.
So there was another post that was put up. I'm going to go through a couple of these with you. I put up a post that this was one from Dante on and I said, retribution, they all must go to prison. And he wrote, did you know the lawyer for Ruby Freeman, Michael Gottlieb, represented them to sue people investigating 2020 election fraud? He was one of Obama's top national security lawyers. He also represented the Rich family in lawsuits against people investigating Seth Rich's death.
Ah, Seth Rich. That name sounds familiar.
And it says underneath that the FBI should have seized these two for evidence while they were down in Fulton County. And this is Ruby and Shay, the two pieces of shit who tried to come forward and say this is what's happening inside the machines, but then were scooped up. Who were they scooped up by? The FBI. The FBI. Scooped up by them, brought in, protected, and then it took hundreds of millions of dollars from people in defamation cases that were absolutely fraudulent.
That's what happens when the cancer of corruption metastasizes throughout your nation. We end up with that. Yeah. And we're not going to ignore it. I'm not okay with it. I'll expose every last one of them without any question. And you know what? Seth Rich, okay, Democrat, that's fine. I'm a Republican. I was a Democrat. That he was a young kid, murdered. He was murdered. They ended his life to take a flash drive. To keep, because they're worried about their secret getting out, they decided to end a life. And so as a Republican, heck, I'll fight every day on behalf of Seth Rich, because I couldn't care less what party someone is. That kid did not die. And we're just going to sit here and ignore that. That's not going to happen. We are going to bring some vindication.
So obviously we had some other problems in the election, and it's just one big cartel, brother. And it's Democrats and Republicans. They're both in on it. Both sides are in on it because the Republicans are busy.
Bad actors infiltrated both.
They're trying to prop up a guy like Victor Marx, who I would equate Victor Marx to Joe Biden, right? I would equate him to Joe Biden. He's not, bro. If you do not feed him the questions, he can't answer them. You can't answer him. You can't answer the questions. He's talked about having a stage 3 or level 3 brain injury. I think it's true. You talk about some of the other things that the guy says or does. I think it's all. I think the guy literally just believes some of the stuff that comes up out of his mouth, kind of like corn pop and making up these other grandiose stories. Victor Marx reminds me of Joe Biden. Mentally, he lacks capacity. How's that? But beyond that,
I don't know.
I want to show you this. I mean, it's just, again, I think it's more the fact that you have an establishment that are propping him up. And what did the establishment do with Biden in 2020? They propped him up. It's the same thing. They know that Republicans are going to win all over the country. When we get rid of machines, get rid of mail-in ballots. They know that that's going to happen, Mark. They know it's going to happen.
Of course they do. Mm-hmm.
So now they have to work on the Republican side as a cartel together to make sure their candidates that control the American people and keep this tax structure in place and keep the doles fired, that those people stay in power. So
they've been doing this for decades. It's never changed. They've got control of both sides. That's the con. That's what there are no sides. Literally, we only think there are.
And their leaders on the other. And then there's President Trump that's standing on the side, looking over going,
it's the America first. That's it. We got Americans versus a corrupt establishment that has their tentacles everywhere in both parties. The party structure may have existed at some point, some decade ago, multiple decades ago. It's possible. But of course, what they did, if you're a bad guy and you want to take control of something, you can't just go grab it, because usually people kind of object to that. So what you do is you infiltrate. You infiltrate every organization, every agency, and you subvert it. And they looked at the parties and said, oh my gosh, the parties have really a lot of control over which candidates run. So the smartest way to start taking over is take over the party apparatus, so you can then change and manipulate what the party does to control the candidates. And then you take over this agency and that agency. That's all they do. And it's not like they had a new idea of, oh, let's find our candidate and put him in here. Yes, I do think the whole country is going to start going toward the right. I really do. When we have fair elections, everyone's gonna start moving to the right. So what do they have to do? Because if they lose control of the system, the mechanism of measuring the will of the voters, what they've got to do is they got to take control of the candidates. And you are absolutely right. They will find candidates and they will put their candidates in both sides. They'll put their Democrats in, they'll put the Republicans in, and they'll feed them all the money and the support, and they'll tell them what to do. And then they'll get them to win, and then they've got control of the people again. It doesn't matter what people wear here. It doesn't matter if you say you're a Democrat or say you're a Republican. And both sides do this shit. In Republican areas that I go to, there are Democrats that'll run as Republican just to win, because they know they can't win as a Democrat. Likewise, I go to Democrat areas, there's Republicans that run as Democrats because they know they can't win as a Republican. Everyone's cheating the damn system. That's what pisses me off so much. And then, if we don't have control of the software that actually counts the votes, well, all bets are off at that point.
Yeah, it just keeps getting worse. We have this too, by the way, and Mark, you're right. But now that we know that this is the actual outcome, we know what they're doing. You still don't see the appetite by the Republicans to fight against it. It's as if we're back in the same swimming pool of Stockholm syndrome. Like people not really
Which Republicans, though?
I'm sorry. I'm talking about
Which Republicans, right?
People, just average everyday people that are out there are walking around
because they don't know. They don't know the truth.
Well, they do know the truth. They do know the truth, but they don't want to believe that a system could be so rife with corruption and so rotted to the core that it would do everything it could to kill off those people. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening.
They don't get it. They don't get it. Now, it doesn't mean they're not going to get it. Every day, this Overton window moves. And so what I was explaining on a call this morning with some people is our audience keeps changing. Our audience is getting larger. And when we get some new people that come into the audience, they aren't up to speed yet. They don't know what happened. They're interested. And so we have to perpetually educate our new audience members so we can get them up to speed to understand what the heck's going on. So that's one of the biggest jobs I have is I try to find those new audience members and get them up to speed quickly so they can understand how this whole charade works, where all the strings are in this puppet environment that we're in. And so they can understand the issue. Therefore, they'll understand what the solution is. But if they don't understand what's going on, they're not going to be pissed about it. They're going to be clueless. And that's what, of course, those that manipulate everything in our society, they want people clueless. And that's why they've tried to take control of, why do you think Google controls your search results? Why do you think they hyper target certain people to show them certain things, to get them to think certain things, to get them to do certain things? It's all about control. And, AI is going to obviously be about 1,000 times worse than search engines go, but the whole system is set up to control the populace. Yeah, we all have to learn to disconnect.
Doesn't matter where I go, same thing happens as far as being blocked and or suppressed on different platforms. Let's look at this. This is a post by this is a post that was written by the GOP last year, right? This is Julie Adams, the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections, and a Republican Party appointee. Let me read this to you. Statement from Julie Adams. DOJ wrote to Fulton County in August of last year asking for the ballots. DOJ wrote another letter in October asking again for the 2020 ballots and in other records. 2 weeks ago, the FBI delivered a third letter, but the majority of the Fulton County Board of Elections literally denied these requests. Georgia State Election Board has been trying for 4 years to get the records, including issuing a subpoena for the ballots and other records. And all those efforts have failed until today. I applaud Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel for finally searching for and retrieving the records from the 2020 election, and the U.S. Attorney General under federal law is entitled to receive and review. It is my hope that the FBI is in the process of getting every box of the 2020 election materials in that warehouse to be able to piece together once and for all the truth about 2020. I'm dedicated to making sure the best of my ability, the election for Fulton counties are accurate. Let's hope this starts with a new chapter in Fulton County for transparency and accountability. Julie Adams. So this is over a 4-year fight. So this gets me to that place where I start looking at it going, did they already make the changes to the ballots? Because you see that the Democrats are starting to double down. Some are being quiet because they're like, oh, I don't want to go to prison. But most of them are doubling down. What do you think we're going to find in the Fulton County with these records?
I think the most interesting thing we're going to find is what's not there.
Yeah.
Secondly, I think the most dangerous thing we're going to find is the stuff that is there, but that we can compare with what we already know and realize that it's been fabricated. So I think both those things are going to be very interesting, far more than what we do find. And I hope they're looking at the right stuff. I really do. And if there were any computers that were taken from there, I hope they have the right people look at them so they know actually what to look for. Please, FBI, employ not talking employ, ask the right people to do it. Like,
Yeah, I think that's going to
phone, right?
I think that's going to be a bigger issue. Mark, they should probably give a phone call to a bunch of people. I do think that they're working
Should.
behind the scene, and we're going to talk in a minute about that. But I want to talk about our friend, if I can, because I want to follow the flow of what they put together today for a lot of reasons. There are people that have defamed. I got off a phone call yesterday. Somebody said, "Is this guy legit?" Speaking about you. And I was like, Mark's about as legit as you're going to get. Yeah, well, she picked up the phone and called you right afterwards. You had reached out to her. And I was like, absolutely have that conversation. That's the person you need to be talking to. But it doesn't matter where we go. She had been told that, well, Mark Cook doesn't really know what he's doing. And there are people out there that are making these claims, and they've been making these claims for 5 years. I've been defamed up one side and down the other. It's not really about me, but it is about the process. It is about what we know about those individuals. And his name is Jovan Pulitzer.
Oh boy, I've never heard of him. Who is he?
Yeah. So there's a group that says that the call never happened. So I'm not going to put the post up. It's on my X if you want to go look at it. And they've started this campaign directly tied to a guy named Jovan Pulitzer. Who's Jovan, Mark?
The guy. So here's how I look at that. When you've got truth tellers and there's a group that's trying to disparage the credibility of truth tellers, I would be very concerned about those at the head of the efforts to disparage truth tellers, because that brings them into question. And I'm not saying he's doing that, but whoever's doing that, I know who's telling the truth. I know who's got the evidence. I know who's legitimate in this. And I do see there is a group of people that are spending all their efforts to try to disparage the good group of people that I know. And thank you for doing that, because it makes it really easy to see who you are. And believe me, I know who you are, and I have files on every one of you. And that's not the end. That's just the beginning. That's all I'll say on that.
Yeah, so let's talk about this for a minute. How did we find Eric Coomer? He wasn't public facing.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Right?
It was stupid.
It wasn't public facing. So let's hypothetically say that he says the call never happened. He wasn't on it. How did I find Eric Coomer, the guy that posts the Antifa manifesto, the guy that is a Satanist, a drug addict, a skinhead, writes about raping his wife, who runs 50% of the vote of the American people and owns the adjudication process 3 days after the election when no one was looking at it? How did I find him, Mark?
He was on a call that you happened to be on. Right?
Bragging about it. And he's a braggart. And they said,
he's a bragger.
Likes to brag about it. Smartest guy in the world. Now let's talk. I've talked about him enough. Let's talk about the other thing that you said, and I hope that they're looking in the right places. First of all, we got the county commissioner, Bridget Thorne, that said something in an interview. She said something, and I'm gonna let you listen for what she said. That is kind of the tell. So let's play this cut one.
I have to say that we haven't been briefed yet by our county attorneys, but we have spent millions of dollars in outside legal counsel to fight anybody from ever seeing the actual election materials, the actual ballots, since 2020. So there's been a lot of questions raised. They've admitted there's been a lot of issues with the election, but they've blocked it at every turn of anybody actually getting to see the physical ballots.
I know you and I, Bridget, actually, when we first met, is because there was a Fulton County commissioner's call in the aftermath of the election. It was virtual because of COVID. You were a caller on that, and you were basically talking on the call about how stacks of ballots printed had gone missing from the warehouse. And then all of a sudden, they dropped your call. They dropped your call, and I had to hunt you down on social media and say, what did you know? What did you see? So tell us about that.
Yes, I mean, I was just a normal citizen. I didn't belong to any political party. I Just
Millions of dollars they spent stopping people from getting access to the ballots. Mark, if the people, it's of, for, and by the people, why in the world would they stop people from getting access to the ballots?
Well, because they likely manipulated the election, because those with nothing to hide nothing. And the elections belong to the people. So the ballots don't belong to the officials. The people use our elections to determine who the officials are. Those officials work for the people. And so we've basically, in Bridget, a lot of people misinterpreted that. Bridget is not part of Fulton County election.
She's on our side. She's
on our side. So I just want everyone to understand that. She is on our side. Yeah.
What they did on their side. And she's actually quoting something that they stated.
Exactly. So make sure people understand that context. It's really important because some people are attacking Bridget, and she's a good one.
No, do not attack Bridget. Do not attack Bridget. Because Bridget did zero. She could care less about politics. She actually wants the entire election fiasco to go away. She's like, just give them the ballots. Just let them have them.
It's really simple. Now, what did Bridget say after that? Do you have the rest of that clip?
I do. Yeah. I think we can grab it if you want, but I mean, that's
well, I can just, I'll let you know. Okay. So she made a comment about Dominion running the department, the warehouse. Dominion was running the warehouse. And so this is really important for people to understand. Our election officials, they think our election officials run the elections. And I hate to tell you, everyone, they don't really run the elections. They used to run our elections. So it used to be the people that ran the elections. Then it got moved to the election officials that run the elections. But now what's happened is the vendors run the elections. The vendors and the contractors run our elections. The vendors, private companies that are paid for with our tax dollars, count our votes for us, essentially. And that's what's happened here. Now, if you've got bad actors in the county, well, then if you got bad actors at the vendors and the county, well, they work in concert with each other to keep the people away from the system. And I think that's what's happened in Fulton County. I think it's pretty obvious the county officials were part of the manipulation of the election. The vendor worked in concert with them to achieve the goal, and they both worked together to keep the citizens away from all of this. Meanwhile, the powers that be have tried to drive a wedge between election officials and the citizens across the board because they never want election officials taking the side of the citizens. And most of our election officials are good people, but they've had psychological games played on them to get them to think that the citizens hate them. And they've manufactured an artificial wedge between the people and the election officials because they want to capture the election officials so they never take the side of the people and start questioning the system. And that's why, again, they attacked Tina Peters and punished her like they did as an example to further intimidate our election officials. So this is a battle, not just between the citizens and this corrupt structure. It is a battle between citizens alongside with their citizen election officials against this corrupt structure. And we got to take our election officials back. They are us in most cases. We have elected them, and we need to stand by their sides. We don't need to be attacking them. We don't need to be walking there with pitchforks. We need to work with them because we're all being screwed by the same system. Our election officials are trapped between what the vendor tells them they can do and what the state tells them they can do. They can't do anything different. Oh, I don't hear you.
Well, that means that we're in a state of perpetual servitude, that we're actually slaves. That's what that basically tells us. Give us.
Oh, yeah, that we are. We are slaves.
There's nothing you can do about it. The system was designed to make it difficult for you to seek justice or to seek accountability. That means you're a slave. Mm-hmm. Now, you said that I hope they're looking at the right thing. Here's Patrick on, and let me just preface this by saying this. Without Patrick, we don't have anything. We have nothing. We have nothing.
He's been good.
Patrick Byrne. Patrick Byrne has done so much for this country. He has gone through and he has spent $85 million. He has spent every dollar he has. He's not on fumes right now, guys. He's past being on fumes. He's past it. And there's some things that we
I know
need
the feeling.
to finish this fight. And we're going to be doing a huge fundraise for Patrick not for Patrick, for the cases and the things to finish this deal out. We have whistleblowers that are in multiple places that are basically the key to all of this. And it's not just one whistleblower, it's not two whistleblowers, not three, it's not five. It's dozens of whistleblowers that have been holed up in different places, that have been kept off the radar, so they can come in, sweep in, and be those whistleblowers for the government. Right? We've anticipated this, so we'll talk a little bit about that later. But here's Patrick talking about the DLL files being the problem. Let's play it.
I've been given permission to share this, and I got to do a little bit of dolphin speak. In these computers, there's something called a DLL. It's a library of, think of it like in a mechanic shop. There's one master toolbox, and there's 8 different mechanics that go over and take out the tool that they need at any given moment. Well, in these computer systems, there's all these different programs, but there's one toolbox of a set of things that they all access. And it is our opinion, and the opinion of any knowledgeable computer scientist, I don't think anyone would dispute, it turns out, that if once the machine is certified, there's any change in that toolbox, if anyone adds any new tools, the whole system loses its certification. I don't think there's anyone, even in the Dominion side of things, who would dispute that. I've been given permission to reveal to you that, you know, we've actually secretly obtained 5 hard drive images from 2020. The bad guys don't know which 5, but we can tell you in each one of them we have found an average of 500 changes to the DLLs after certification, and as many as 1,000, any one of which violates. All will agree that any one change violates the certification. There's an average of 500, and my guess is there's some government computer scientists opening up the Fulton County hard drives this morning, and they're going to be finding records that show from 2020 that show there were hundreds of changes to the DLL, to that library, to that toolbox after certification, even one of which throws the thing out of cert, because that's where you put it's the most important thing to own if you're going to be putting in bugs. It's yeah. So I'm very confident that's what they're finding this morning in Fulton County, Georgia. The government scientists somewhere in a warehouse, which means the whole thing should. It's so illegal. I don't know if I'm getting across how bad that is. It's really bad.
Pretty bad. If that's the case, absolutely no volume from me.
That's going to lead us to the other part, which is, why is Tulsi Gabbard involved?
I would say, as head of DNI, that Tulsi might be involved because there may be a foreign component to this.
There's more than just a foreign component. Eric Coomer admitted that he gave foreign actors, one of which his name is Garan. Garan was the special operator of intelligence during Kosovo and leading back to Serbia. Now, we've talked about some of the Serbian connections related to a network of trucking companies and things like the trucking companies that were used all over the United States with a Serbian network. And then you have Dominion, which, by the way, was never a Canadian company. It was a Serbian company that then put roots into Canada. Garan was the CEO of that company. He was also the CEO of CC, right, which is an organization out of Canada that looked into and was involved in elections in Canada. And we saw what happened in Canada. People there feel like they're being held hostage there.
Well, and they are. Yeah. They got the same problems we do. We're a little bit ahead of them. That's all. But they're getting the tentacles of electronic voting systems are entering Canada right now as we speak too. And I've got Canadians that are contacting me saying, do you think we might have the same type of problems here? We're starting to see this. And I start looking at their news articles and talking about glitches here and there in their system and how the hand count didn't quite match this because someone programmed this wrong. I'm like, oh, yep. Those are the signs. Those are the signs. Start paying attention, boys.
Okay, so then this is the part that I want to talk about. This is the need to get to the hard drives. I think we need the source code, and we need to compare that source code to how the machine's operated. And I promise you, if you gave me a little bit of time with that system and the source code, I'd tell you exactly how the system operated. Let's go ahead and play it.
It's hard to convey how ugly this is. I mean, that what I just told you about that change, those 500 average 500 changes to the machine after certification means the whole thing has been built to it. You know, there could be scripts that change things and other scripts that teach the machine how to erase itself and erase the tracks and all this stuff. But you only get to it if you get to the actual hard drive and just not reading their reports. That's why these guys have been fighting teeth, toes, and fingernails against ever letting anyone do what President Trump what they finally did last night, and what Tulsi did last night. She's really going to go down as the hero of the hour in the country, because she's had the backbone to stand up and do stuff that other people, I don't want to name names, other people could have, but she did it.
Changes things just a little bit, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I hope they got the right people looking at it. I could provide exactly what needs to be done right now, but I'm not going to put that out in the public. But I know if someone contacted me and said, okay, let's do this, I've already got it written out. I know exactly what to do, and I know exactly what I would find, and I know how drastic those results would be for this entire electronic voting system industry.
Yeah. So I want to point something else out if we can. And this is breaking. We'll talk about the machines and how it relates to Tina Peters. Tina Peters is still in jail. She should have been let out of jail. Prison, excuse me. I keep saying jail. It said prison. She's in prison. They do not have a minimum security prison in the state of Colorado, which means she is actually surrounded by murderers. And you saw that she got attacked inside of a closet, and then Tina pushed back. That attack inside the closet then caused them to want to file charges against Tina Peters, right?
Isn't it funny that it happened right after Polis started talking about possibly commuting her?
Yeah, because
within days she gets attacked.
All in on it.
Yeah,
they've got a little organized crime. I'm telling you, you have to break this up. When I'm governor, I'm telling you, everything is going to change. Everything is going to change. But
and everyone will be better off in Colorado too, because they won't be victims of massive corruption across the entire state. Everyone's getting screwed from that. Only few are benefiting from it, and the majority of Colorado citizens are getting effed. And I think they're tired of it.
All right. Well, I want to give you this update because I think it's important, because the AG in Colorado, who, by the way, is subjected right now to a fraud investigation with over $15 million in bribes that were paid. Jared Polis is involved in it. A.G. Weiser is involved in it. Jenna Griswold, I call them the Synagogue of Satan trio inside of our systems. He wrote a brief, and let me describe this for you. Colorado Court of Appeals orders the AG to defend unusual post-argument filings. The court's decision to require adversarial briefings rather than just accepting it signals questions about timing and propriety. The AG's office spent 6 months preparing Tina's appeal, extensive research, detailed briefs, oral arguments before a 3-judge panel. Then, more than a week after oral arguments wrapped up, AG filed erratium, claiming that I think it's erratum. Erratum, claiming they overlooked the 2021 statutory amendment throughout entire case preparation, and erratum is supposed to fix typos and citation errors, not introduce new legal theories. The court didn't just accept it, they ordered full adversarial briefings, 3,000 words from defense, which is due February 12th, and 1,500 from the AG, which is due on February 19th. It's unusual because the courts routinely accept genuine corrections without requiring response briefs. By ordering this level of briefing, the court is signaling that they view it as more than a harmless correction and want to hear both sides argue whether the filing was appropriate. The timing raises questions. Did career prosecutors fail to notice the 2021 statute while preparing the major appeal, or do they just wait to see how oral arguments went before deciding whether or not to raise the issue? Now, this does actually fit the same pattern that we saw happen in the Tina Peters case. Evidence was denied at trial, disputed jury instructions, limited witness testimony, and now they have this new legal argument after oral hearings. When prosecutors repeatedly push procedural boundaries, it raises questions as to the prosecution's integrity, which we know they don't have integrity. We know they've done a lot to basically disrupt the ability for Tina to have a free and impartial, to have her push at justice. So the decision was now delayed again another 3 weeks, but the review shows that this does favor Tina, and there's a high likelihood that this case against Tina Peters, all of those cases, will be overturned for judicial misconduct.
They should be, because the whole thing's rotten, and she was totally railroaded, and she was used in all of this. It's absolutely disgusting. And when all the citizens in Colorado realize what's happened, I mean, this could have happened to anyone. It didn't matter that it was Tina. It could be anyone next if we don't fix this. The whole thing is totally rotten. And everyone that took part in this, yeah, absolutely. We have no choice but to hold them all accountable for this. And it's over. I mean, they're going to go down. They're all going to go down. And so I would say to anyone that might want to save themselves, now would be a really, really good time to do so. You might just want to make a phone call.
Yeah, I think that they've given certain people the ability to come forward and be a whistleblower. I think they're too much in love with themselves to be a whistleblower, and to come forward and,
well, the low end. I'm talking about the people that were used by those that did all this, because everyone's getting going down.
There's several of those people that have already flipped. I'm talking about
but there's several that haven't yet.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Now, I have some good news amongst all this. You ready for that?
Okay, I'm ready.
Play cut one. Don Lemon.
Alert, journalist Don Lemon has been arrested in connection with an anti-ICE protest at a church in St. Paul, Minnesota. Bill Malusian joins us now with more on this breaking news. Hey, Bill.
Yeah, Charlie, good morning to you. Our colleague David Spunt and I getting this breaking news from multiple law enforcement sources just minutes ago, confirming that former CNN anchor Don Lemon has been arrested by federal agents in Los Angeles just after midnight this morning at a hotel. This obviously all in connection with that storming of a church in St. Paul, Minnesota by that group of anti-ICE agitators. Now remember, the feds had gone to judges to try to get Don Lemon arrested before. They went to a magistrate judge in Minnesota who didn't sign off on an arrest warrant for him. Then it went to a judge above him. He didn't sign off on an arrest warrant for him. Then it went to an appeals court. They also decided not to sign off for an arrest warrant for him. So there was experts who were predicting that perhaps the feds would go to a grand jury. It remains to be seen if that's what happened here, but we can confirm that Don Lemon was arrested in Los Angeles by federal agents just after midnight Los Angeles time at a hotel. Now, typically, standard procedure with an arrest like this is the defendant will likely make their first court appearance sometime the same day. So there's a chance we may see Don Lemon make his first court appearance in Los Angeles sometime today. But obviously, this is going to grab all sorts of headlines. 3 other protesters from that church storming, have already been arrested, including who the feds say was the organizer of that protest. The woman in the middle there is a school board member in St. Paul, and then the mugshot on the right is an online personality / agitator, if you want to call him that. He's known as the Woke Farmer. Those were the 3 people that the feds had already arrested, but we have confirmed that Don Lemon has now been arrested in Los Angeles in connection with that viral incident. We all saw the video of it that spread and drew widespread condemnation. The feds have been going after these people on FACE Act violations. So this is still breaking news. Once we get more details about the potential charges here, a court appearance, we'll of course update our viewers, guys.
All right, two things of record in this that I think are important that you should know. Number one, How rotted is the judiciary that they would walk past a FACE Act violation and say that they will refuse to actually have a have, because he's a have, not a have not, have a have arrested?
Pretty big.
I talk a lot about density. That in order to get to 2020, they had to have proper density where they had stolen enough elections and appointed enough judges based on those stolen elections in different states that they would have a firm grip on our judiciary, and that the 4 years of stealing the election for Joe Biden was not a victimless crime, and that every single one of those people that was appointed because of Joe Biden has to be removed. That means that Katani Brown has to be removed.
Yeah.
Federal judges must be removed. Anyone below that was appointed that caused any sort of laws has to be removed. Any senator races or judicial appointments at state levels must be removed. This is a reset of the entire country, and every single one of those people should be thrown out. We should elect new leaders, and then those leaders should appoint new judicial officers.
Yeah, we don't have a choice. I mean, we have to. If people manipulated the system to get into positions of power, what are we going to do? Just let them sit there and continue doing damage if they weren't rightfully there in the first place? We have no choice, but we've got to press the reset button. We've got to back this up as much as we can. Back it out. We need to back it out and put right people in there. And if we need to rerun elections, we need to do whatever we need to do to make sure that the will of the people is accurately represented, that the people that are in positions of power and influence were actually elected by the citizens. We have to do that, or we have no republic.
Well, this gets down to the part that I think is most important, and that is we have to stop negotiating with the ridiculous. We have to stop actually thinking that we have to have a discussion about it or debate about it. No, it's they go. We will.
Yeah, we don't negotiate with terrorists. We have to stop.
And that's exactly what they are. That's exactly what they are.
Yeah, they are. They're domestic terrorists.
So I have great faith in the fact that we're going to get to that place, but nobody's really talking about what that mechanism would look like. But I do believe it's coming, and I do believe that the power structure that has been put into these technocracies and billionaires and people that are laundering money by the tens of billions of dollars, I think that whole network is about to fall pretty drastically.
It has to. It has to. And everyone that, the useful idiots, and sorry, idiots, you don't have to be idiots for long, though. You're not like, just because you're an idiot now doesn't mean you're perpetually going to be an idiot. You can stop anytime you want. Once you learn what the hell's going on, you can graduate from idiotdom and be a normal citizen here. And we can fight unified. We can fight the bad guys all together and free ourselves from this slavery. But yes, we have no choice but to do this for all of us.
Yeah, I would agree with that fully. Let's talk about this ice race or these ice outs that are happening, because I think this actually goes to the fact that our kids are being manipulated, that the teachers unions are actually using teachers. So how many students do you think there are in high school students are in Colorado?
I have no clue.
I don't either. I'm checking it out right now.
But they always take advantage of the vulnerable, whether it's our kids, whether it's our elderly, whether it's our disabled, our veterans that aren't there to vote. These psychopaths, these demons, take advantage of everything they possibly can, and of course they go after our children. That's why we've got, usually it's younger people or older people that only watch the corrupt, lying mainstream media that are out destroying their cities and having these stupid ICE protests everywhere. They go after and indoctrinate our kids. They have for a long time, and we are living in a society that is generations deep into being run now by kids that have been indoctrinated for generations. So of course they go after our kids.
Well, there's 277,000 high schoolers. Okay, 277,000. Now, what they've done in Colorado, and let's go ahead and put this first one up if we can. Denver Post, demonstrators across Metro Denver joined the Nation Ice Out campaign, where they say no work, no school or shopping. It spread across several cities Friday as American protest the federal government's enforcement of immigration law in Minnesota. Mark, will you tell people, for the people in the back of the room, what this was? I mean,
It's manipulating the public, causing civil unrest, distraction from elections, all the above.
it's not enforcement of immigration law. It's kicking out
No.
criminal illegals who rape, murder, and commit.
What ICE is. Yeah, what ICE is, absolutely. It's going after people that have broken the law, that shouldn't be here, that are causing harm to American citizens. That's what it's about. But they've lied to all these kids. These kids don't know what the hell's going on. The kids are told we're hurting people. No, we're just getting criminals out of here that are causing harm to you and your family and your fellow citizens. That's what we're doing. But of course, they're going to go after the kids because the kids don't know as much, and it's easier to plant lies, in these kids' heads. It's absolutely disgusting.
So let me just talk about the kids that they have and what the teachers are doing. And frankly, I think every teacher that called out sick for the ICE protests needs to be fired. Every single
Fire them. Fire every one of them. Absolutely.
Completely gone, right? It is not a First Amendment right. Your right as a teacher is to do one thing, and that is protect the interests of children and to teach them math, science, English, not put up pride flags, not groom them, not try to indoctrinate them or tell them how bad the United States is. That is called Stockholm.
Absolutely.
That is actually a psychological warfare against our children. There are
Absolutely.
So in Denver, there are 89,000 kids, 5,000 students, they say, walked out. Let's go ahead and play this cut.
It breaks my heart.
You've got radical leftist teachers that are bullying kids into walking in a rally. There's 89,000 kids, 5,000 showed up, 227,000 across Colorado, less than 5,000 across the board showed up. So you have less than 1%, 2%.
Yep. Kids are starting to figure it out. And by the way, these aren't teachers. These are indoctrinators. They're not teachers.
I would agree with that.
They're terrorists. They're domestic terrorists that are attacking our children. That's what they are.
I would agree with that. But people leading these charges are the very illegals whose family members are committing these crimes. Aurora Public Schools closed today. Shut down because
punish the kids.
Are all anti-ICE protests. Now just imagine what the teachers are doing in the classroom if they're walking out for these protests. And here's a picture of it. There will be no class for students tomorrow, January 30th at APS schools and Pickens Technical College due to a higher than anticipated number of staff absences that continue to grow across the district. As a result, we will be switching tomorrow to professional release day that was originally scheduled on Friday, February 6th. Staff will not submitted absences should still report to the schools and sites. Please visit aurorak12.org for important details about before and after school care, free grab-and-go meals, and athletics. We recognize the impact this may have and sincerely apologize for the inconvenience this will cause many of our families. We greatly appreciate your patience and flexibility as we navigate the situation. Schools will reopen and resume regular schedules on Monday, February 12th. What do you think of that?
I think some kids are going to say, "Ooh, yay, I get the day off from school." And it's going to teach some of them that, go and protest, and then you don't have to go to school. And that's disgusting to do to our kids, but some are going to fall for that. The other kids that are starting to become a little bit smarter about this stuff are going to see through the bullshit. And I'm okay teaching them. Show them how fucking ridiculous all this is. Fantastic. Because what we're doing is we're finally opening the eyes of some of the kids. And look at how many kids took part in this. A very small amount of them, which tells me that our younger generation is starting to wake up. So, yeah, go ahead and be more ridiculous, guys. Keep doing this because it's starting to sink in to the kids that actually have a brain and can see what's going on.
Yeah, no question. No question.
Let's have a church day. How about we do church instead that day? I think that'd be a great time.
I would agree. I would agree with you fully. There's also something that came out where one of the families of a charter school was sent home, and this is amazing because you can't escape the mind virus called Trump derangement syndrome, and they'll influence the parents in any way they can. It's desperation at this point. This was actually sent out. It says, "Dear Epic families," this is Epic charter schools. "The safety of our students is and always the top priority. Our classrooms are places of learning, care, and stability. They are not places of fear. Please know that we have a clear procedure in place in the event anyone at any of our locations should encounter immigration and custom enforcement officials. Our procedures include notices are placed at every entrance of Epic's place of learning, clearly outlining applicable state statutes regarding the entering of non-public places." Non-public places, by the way.
Pull your kids out immediately.
Yeah, Epic
Pull them out.
Are approached by anyone representing themselves as an ICE officer and seeking access to institution sites have been instructed on the proper procedure. Anyone representing themselves as ICE officers will be asked to provide their name, badge number, and ID with agency business card and a copy of a judicial warrant. If only an administrative warrant is present, the officers will not be admitted to the site and given access to any individual. Epic attorneys are standing by to review any documents presented. I recognize the national conversations and news coverage surrounding the topic can create uncertainty and confusion, particularly for families who may already feel vulnerable. Epic will always place student safety first as we continue to provide a safe, welcoming, and inclusive learning environment for everyone we are proud to serve. As a reminder, federal and state laws protect the rights of all children and youth to attend public schools such as Epic, regardless of their identity or status, except being age eligible for school. Mark, this was sent to teachers. Do you know how many ICE agents have entered schools to remove children?
I think 0. Pretty sure.
None, not one. Not one. So why are they doing what
It's
they're
not
doing?
about that.
No, it's not.
Fear.
Fear,
It's fear, pressure, manipulation. Yep. Cause chaos.
And here's here's something else that we should probably talk about. While they're sitting here talking about all of this, parents have they're worried about their children. They're worried. I mean, deeply worried. Let me give you a little bit of statistics. I'm gonna drop some knowledge on you. The academic proficiency scores for Aurora Public Schools are from the 2023-2024 school year hasn't gotten better. Based on Colorado measures of academic success, the CMAS, and relates state assessments, they represent the percentage of students testing at or above proficient levels. Note the 2025 CMAS results show improvement in both literacy and math in the district, although scores remain below pre-pandemic levels, and no specific proficiency percentages for 2025 were detailed in available reports. So the number of kids at the elementary school level that are proficient in language arts proficiency in elementary school is 16 or 23%. For middle school, it's 27%. For high school, it's 38%. Math proficiency, 16% are proficient. 7% of middle school are proficient, and 18% of high school. Aurora is the biggest school district in the state. 62% of Aurora high school students are not proficient in English. 82% may be functionally enumerate. In other words, they're stupid. We have stupid kids. We've literally created stupid kids.
Yeah, but they're really good at knowing what trans man is. They're experts at that kind of bullshit, but they don't know how to do the very basic things they need to be able to do in life. That the education is there to give them in the first place. It's there to set them up for success in life, and it's not. They're just using our education system to indoctrinate our children. It's not helping them. It's putting them only in a worse position. I am so happy that homeschooling is skyrocketing all over the place.
All right, I think we've done enough of the kind of the red, white, blue pill, the black pill. We're not black pilled at all. We know things are happening. Okay. Before I leave you, I want to play this funny and disturbing video about this liberal woman talking about why conservatives need them. And then I'm going to play a video about Victor Marx from a guy that I will be doing an interview with next Wednesday in my office.
Awesome.
He's a TikTok influencer. I think he's got over 1 million people that watch him. And I'm going to place that video in there as well. But first, I want to play this. This is a Democrat influencer with almost 200,000 followers that says she's figured it all out. Let's play it.
Do you want to know why conservatives and Republicans hate white liberal women so much? It's because they need us. Patriarchy, white supremacy, Trumpism, the Maha wellness movement, it all goes away if we start saying no more. It's why they hate Renee Good. It's why my comment section is always in shambles. It's why they say that white liberal women are the greatest threat to democracy or their terrible idea of it. It's because when they lose us, they lose power. As soon as white women decide that we are going to stop upholding the very systems that oppress us and other people, they start to go away. The majority of white women voted for Trump in the last election. Keep getting your nails done, keep going to Pilates, keep doing whatever white girl shit it is you want to do, but don't stop resisting and tell your friends, because they cannot win without us.
What do you think of that?
Oh, there's a lot of stupid in the world, and lots of
What's that? Are you there? Lost him.
I'm back.
Back.
Hold on. I'm coming. I'm back.
All right. Say that again for everyone.
There's a lot of stupid in the world. There's a lot of indoctrination, and it's generations deep now. There's been so much deception everywhere that I think what we have is we've got deception-induced psychosis now all across our nation, and she's a victim of it as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to find this video, which I think is going to be important to play.
Okay.
Mark, I want to just ask you, actually, why don't you give us a full update real quick while I look for this on
You look for the video. I do want to tell people to get this because this is really, really important. TheLostInterview.com is a critical video that people need to watch. If you have not seen this, you need to watch it right now. And what it is, it's an interview, a couple interviews I found that have been deleted long ago by James Collier, who uncovered election fraud decades ago, back in the 70s and 80s, and came out and even in the 90s and tried to explain what the heck was going on, show what he found. And it's the same election corruption, same election fraud that we have going on right now. It's never changed. It's the same thing. But people think that election fraud just showed up in 2020 all of a sudden, especially the useful, I don't want to call them idiots. The useful, currently ignorant people think that election fraud just showed up in 2020, or the talk about election fraud. It has nothing to do with Trump. It has nothing to do with 2020. We've all been screwed for decades. And this video, there's a reason why they've been trying to delete it. The powers that be that have been manipulating all of us by manipulating our elections didn't want any of us to know that this existed. Didn't want us to know that manipulation is happening. So if you watch this video, thelostinterview.com, you will understand the history of election fraud. And so if you know anyone that doesn't quite understand or doesn't believe there's election fraud, it has nothing to do with Trump. It has nothing to do with 2020. It happened back in the 80s. Just have them watch the damn video and then ask them what they think about it. That's it. And you will have a believer in about 30 minutes.
Okay.
Hope I bought you enough time.
No, you bought me just enough time, actually.
Cool.
I'm going to see if this is it. Hold on.
As a Republican in Colorado, I'm starting to realize how embarrassing it is to be a Republican. We make up 20 to 30.
All right, let's see if it's this
That's
one.
all fake stuff. I hope people realize those videos are all coordinated.
Did you know there's
They're
a
all
40?
fake? And it is kind of funny. It's cute what they're trying to do. I don't know if anyone's actually falling for that stuff anymore, but it is adorable.
Okay.
No one's embarrassed to be a Republican right now. I guarantee you that. Not a single one. Anyone that claims they're
As a
embarrassed to be a
Republican in
Republican
Colorado, we
right
take the
now
people who are
is
undecided. Parks would make a better attorney
lying to you.
under my house. So what do you Republican under one house and we just
Oh, is that idiot that sits in his car all the time and
he's
gets
actually-
all emotional?
He's actually really good. He's actually really, really, really good. And I'm trying to find the video before it gets taken down. Yeah, keep talking. I'm going to find it real quick.
I have to put my collection of videos and the psychological operations that have been run on the American people. I will have to put this all together. Nice collage someday. But watching it since 2020 has been a heck of a lot of fun. Oh, crap. That's my website. What do we got? Hopefully there's good stuff on here.
Okay.
I can keep talking about it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know that guy. Okay. Well, if you're not following me on X, you need to follow me, please. Patriot Mark Cook, because I'm going to be dropping a whole lot of stuff here over the next weeks. And I already have dropped a whole lot of bombs anyway. And a lot more is coming as I go through these internal Sequoia documents. And I've been researching this stuff for 5 years, nonstop. I've been county by county by county. I've gone to other states. I've gone to other countries. And I've gained a lot of information and knowledge about how this whole system works and the people involved in all of it. And I'm just going to start putting it all out there because the clock's ticking. We're running out of time. People have to know what's up. And the Overton window has shifted enough now that I think I can now introduce this stuff and people will actually understand it. They're ready for it. They've got an appetite for it. And it's ready to come out. So I'm going to be very excited to start putting it all out. Did you find it yet?
I did find it, guys. I sent it over to you in the video. I really want to play this, and listen. Let me explain to you, if I can, really quickly, how I feel about all the things that we're dealing with right now. Okay. Related to Victor Marks specifically, and then we're going to close out. Right? Who propped up Victor Marks? Who brought in this guy, Victor Marks? Who brought him up?
I actually don't know. I saw him speak a little bit. And I was like, oh, this guy looks really polished. But that's all I know.
Super polished, won't show up to a debate, and tells everyone that he's the candidate to beat. He needs to be the governor. I mean, he is I don't even understand I don't understand what's happening. I feel like it's the Pied Piper leading us off a cliff. Right?
I hope the machine didn't choose him, and I hope the machine is not behind him.
It did, though. It did actually choose him.
I'm not gonna. I'll let you say that. I'm not gonna say it yet.
People that are behind him it's unbelievable. Look, if Bill Owens gets behind you and this machine gets behind you, and you start actually propping up these influencers everywhere in order to make Victor Marks the actual guy, we got a problem. And Mike Flynn did an endorsement of him, and I'm thinking to myself. And then they have President Trump trying to do an endorsement of him. 80% or more of his Facebook followers it's a sock puppet account. He's got 1.9 million.
Really? Wow.
Mark, go look at it. You're a tech guy.
Okay.
Go look at his account. 1.9, he has less than 200,000.
It'll probably look a lot like Scott Pressler's account.
It's 1.7 million sock puppet account. I mean, they're non-existent. And I was able to examine that. Secondly, his likes are manufactured by a company. Well, there's only two companies that I know.
Reputation management.
They're manufactured. They're fake.
Yep.
They're fake.
Yep.
So what he's doing is trying to make it look like he has all this. Go get all these endorsements from all these people. Bro, this is the guy that talked about cutting someone up into pieces at 5 years old and feeding it to the alligators. And at 7 years old was told he could go shoot someone in his backyard, who made up stories, like crazy stories, and he made them up, who came out of nowhere in Colorado to say, okay, I'm going to go be the governor.
When people come out of nowhere, it makes me suspect. And I'll tell you what, I contacted every other candidate that I could think of to make sure they understood what happened with Tina Peters. And everyone I contacted reached right back out to me. They called me, they set up a meeting. When I went down, I spent hours with a lot of them, going over all of it, going over all the details. They were very interested. They were genuine. But Victor, I can't get a call back from him for some reason. I can't figure it out. I wish he'd call me. Victor, why haven't you called me yet? Why haven't we sat down to go over this stuff? It's really critical. I mean, if you're looking to run for governor of Colorado, you would think you'd want to understand what happened with one of the most important critical issues of Colorado in your campaign. But not even a phone call? It's just, I don't understand it. It's just weird. I think other people might start wondering also.
I think that's a good point. And frankly, I think that it's pretty scary. Just the thought of it is pretty scary.
I don't get scared very easily.
What's that?
I don't get scared. I'm done being scared. I was scared back in, first part of like 2020, the last part of 2020, early part of 2021. And now I just don't give a fuck.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. Let's go ahead and play this video real quick.
So Victor Marks made an agreement. He was going to debate Scott Bottoms and Greg Lopez on Saturday, the 31st. But yeah, he canceled that agreement and decided he's not going to show up. And he left this big chat GPT message basically saying that he doesn't believe in debates and he thinks that they're ridiculous. And so I think that if you can't show up to a debate to prove that you have the temperament to be governor, to prove that you have the knowledge, the wisdom, and everything else that comes with being governor, I believe that you should not be governor. And also, he decided to use his family as a shield as well. Well, listen, if you have so much going on with your family, then you cannot be governor. The thing that a governor needs to do is show up, but also people need to understand that there's no governor in the United States of America that manages less than $4 billion. I care more about our education system. I care more about the increase in taxes. I care more about the infrastructure. I care more about the problems associated with Colorado than having to worry about where on earth is Victor Marks. Do you understand that? If you're voting for Victor Marks, you don't even know what you're voting for because you can't show up to a debate. And I don't mean this to be rude. I don't mean this to be mean. I do not want to tear down a man. That is not my style. But you have to look at things in a realistic perspective and say, this gentleman claims to have gone to different countries to rescue people in countries that are very, very not safe. And now we're here in Colorado and you're scared, you're worried. You have a bodyguard that carries around a briefcase with a submachine, whatever, crazy weapon, and you're scared? That to me just tells me that you have no idea what you're doing. And that also tells me that, you know what, this is a big red flag. I can't support you. I don't understand why other people would support you. But guess what? If you can't show up to a simple debate, but yet you've gone to all these countries and done all this crazy stuff, there's something seriously wrong. And guess what? To me, that just says you're unfit. You're unfit, you're unset, and this is not a good decision and it's not a good look for you. But more importantly, you're not going to be governor. There's no independent that's going to vote for someone who's inconsistent and is scared to show up to a fight. You think you're going to get the black and Latino votes to vote for you and you can't even show up to a fight? That's never going to happen.
What an amazing, genuine soul. I want to meet that kid.
Yeah.
Who is that?
This is a guy that is an influencer out of Colorado Springs. He's coming up. I'm going to spend a bunch of time with him. But
dude, oh my God. We need about 200,000 of him, please. That gives me faith in our youth. In our younger generations, if people have that kind of a vision and heart, very impressed. He's a very perceptive guy too, and articulate.
Yeah,
I think I saw a video a couple days ago that he did as well.
Okay.
That's a leader. That's someone I would vote for. I hope he runs for office someday.
Yeah, I think you're going to find that more and more people are going to start to move this way, and all the endorsements are not going to save anyone. So I'm concerned because of the Pied Piper mentality, and who's behind it. And I know all too well that the same people that are behind this are the same people that have been stealing the voice of the people of Colorado and negotiating on who is supposed to be, the voice of reason in Colorado for the last 30 years. It's the same.
The Rocky Mountain Heist.
Yeah. And now it's Rocky
Yeah,
Mountain.
if you guys haven't seen the Rocky Mountain Heist, you need to watch it. It's a very important documentary. If you live in Colorado and you have not seen the Rocky Mountain Heist, you need to watch it so you'll understand how these people think and the lengths that they go to manipulate an entire state. Because they look at the citizens as peons.
It's an intelligence operation, is what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to continue to push uphill on this, but I think that here's a guy that is going to bypass the assembly process, not going to show up for it, right? Not going to show up.
Doesn't have to because he's part of the machine, possibly. I hope he isn't, but he might be.
Yeah, absolutely is. Absolutely.
I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt because I do want him to talk to me, and I want to go over the Tina Peters stuff. And I'll tell you what, if he never does, then that's going to answer the question really quickly.
Well,
totally 100% machine if he does not pick up the phone and call me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right. Let's pray it out, yeah?
Do it.
All right. Father God, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you for Mark. Thank you for all the hard work that he's done. Thank you for the service that he's put in front of himself and the sacrifices that he has made in order to educate the people around the country. Thank you, Father, for all the people that have given Mark a voice and given him an opportunity to talk to people from their community. And Father, we are grateful for your favor. We're grateful for the restoration that we see occurring. We're grateful for the ability for us to get to the truth and to be relentless with restoring you to our community, to our country, and stopping this evil from just infecting every part of our lives here and even what they're doing in other countries. Father, please help us so we may stay resolute, may stay focused on that restoration, that we may have courage, act in that courage. We may stand shoulder to shoulder, setting aside petty differences and getting to a place where we can actually see truth for what it is. We know that the deceptors are now going to start working inside of our own side and doing things to absolutely destroy all of the progress that we've made. So, Father, I just ask you that you will reveal all of that, all of those people for who they are and what they are. I say these things, Father, humbly in Jesus' name. Amen. All right.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, brother.
All right, absolutely. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, tune in and more. Go over, give us a 5-star review. If you're on Rumble, go ahead and share us. You're the ambassadors of truth. You're the ones that actually hold all the cards. So, I look forward to it.
Whoa! Whoa! Rising from the fight for the forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Coomer's lies, Dominion's deceit, pays a grand each day, shielding truth from corrupt halls, but he won't back down, standing tall through it all. Hart and Tina Peters break the chains that bind her tight, hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night. Restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away. Shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. It's our rally call. Truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people. Set our great state free. Help the single moms, bring back trade school strong. Opportunity for you, where the brave belong. Audit every NGO, ban the wolves that roam. Reclaim our stolen land, bring the power home. Eric Coomer's fraud, Dominion's rigged design, expose the stolen votes, cross the dangerous line. No more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash the fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed for the have-nots. Rising truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado reborn, strong on our feet. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away. Shrink the blow to stay, let the people have the say. Governor Oltmann, it's our rally call. Truth and freedom rising, watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Governor Oltmann, freedom forever, Colorado rise. Governor rise up untamed. In the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam, Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Tame nation, it's our